there in a minute. There I am. Sorry about that. We're having a little problem there with the switch off. I blame the maintenance people outside that are working on the street. But anyhow, so everybody else, if you don't know me, I'm Ryan Reed here, of course, Doctor of Education, host of the Pixel Classroom podcast. And I will, of course, be reviewing these two books, A Place They Love by Elijah Cabral, who was, of course, on my big 150th episode here too. So I'm going to really go out and review this book right off of the bat here. So let me go ahead and switch that too, because you know how I like switching over things. So of course, A Place They Love, creating a healthy school culture and positive impacting students by Elijah. So this is actually a pretty good book. I really did enjoy this little piece here to it. I read this in about a little over a week here. It's only 120 pages. It's not a horribly long book, but I really like parts here. A couple pages I really like too is I really right here off bat, page 4 about bringing your mistakes. Yeah, teaching through your mistakes is extremely powerful, and I've made my fair share of mistakes. Some extremely embarrassing. I had to apologize for losing my temper, rightly accusing students for not being prepared or not bringing my A game. And I think that happens. I've had a lot of times in the classroom myself where all of a sudden it just goes wrong. And I just like, well, that wasn't supposed to happen. And then I start doing the kids laugh and I just go, hey, give me a second here. No, I'm not perfect either. And believe it or not, when I record my lessons, sometimes I will make mistakes in the videos. Unless they're completely like, this is such a disaster, I got to restart it. I actually just keep on going to say, hey, I make my mistakes too. And you just want to go over here. Oh, they switched this. It wasn't like this 2 days ago. I'm going to go ahead and just tell you. So what you got to do is do X, Y, and Z and kind of go from there. So I definitely do. I also like one where it says, change up your routines, where he even says about like, hey, you know what? Go for that cup of coffee somewhere else, like your favorite coffee shop, or go hit like Starbucks or your other local chain, or maybe a local business that does it. Change your routine up. And that's absolutely true. I mean, once in a while, I was known to say, you know what? I had a decent breakfast, but you know what? They're having this special over here at the one coffee place in town, which is Open Door. Shout out to them. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get a coffee from them and their breakfast sandwich because I'm really hungry and I really am going to need this extra coffee. Do something different, and just do that. And it's really nice to kind of switch that up too. Many people know, especially my former students know, that I've had things change in the classroom, or I've completely, had to change things on the fly or come up with things on the fly and just kind of do it. I really do like the fact that Elijah really pops up, including, times where it happens to all of us. The day is just not going right. We lose either our tempers or we just have arguments or something else. And it just does not work for anything. I mean, it's a lot of great things. I mean, this book really has everything, whether you're a new teacher, an old teacher or not. If you haven't, one thing, of course, you have a Shut Up and Teach podcast, and he's just done the Edu Couples one with his wife. So there's some really great little pieces on here. It's a pretty good book. I really liked reading this by Elijah. I was planning on getting it before the interview, and then I had ordered it just before we had done that, and it arrived like 2 days afterwards. But it's a really, really good book, and I recommend doing that, as well as looking at Elijah's podcast and his new one with his wife. They're very good. They're very enjoyable. So great job with the book there with Teaching Place They Love. So good job there. And then my next one here is, of course, The Adventures of Little Mikey Keep On Going. So here's an interesting story. I've actually followed Mickey Smith Jr.'s things on and off and everything else, and I'll show his website here in a little bit too. And I've been back and forth, and I'll say this one thing. Mickey does a great job of really incorporating everything from lessons and everything into it, his music and his style of the saxophone. And The Adventures of Little Mickey is really good. It's actually the story of actually getting the saxophone and the fact that, he has to keep practicing. It's not good. And he works so hard to make sure he gets the saxophone and he's going to learn to play it. And there's some great pieces in here too, including, him blowing it and people going like, yeah, that's amazingly terrible there and kind of painful. But you know what? How can you keep on going? Talk about not only practice, but to keep doing support from the family. I think some people don't realize too, that you do get things that people go into and they really are not good at it, or it's a slow build to being better. I mean, Mickey talks about some people about how they had to keep on going through a lot of problems, both good and bad, people that might not be most fondly remembered from history, but also ones that are very well remembered from history or locally, about how they had to keep on going despite these losses and going into it. And it really gets emphasized in this book, especially by the end of it, where, he really comes through learning to play the saxophone and the fact that he had to keep on going. It's a very inspirational book. I really, really did like this from Mickey, and I think he did a really nice job. And if you haven't checked out his website, there it is. It's mickey-smith-jr.com. And he's got everything to his podcast, to his blog, his press kit, his PD offerings. the Keep On Going store, which actually has the book cover thing, talking about being a 2020 Grammy Music Educator, receiving award, something I could never even think of even having a chance at. And yet here he is doing it, his history. He's a very motivational speaker, comes from very humble beginnings. I really do like this book. It's very inspirational. I mean, I have followed Mickey on and off through social media. I follow him more on Instagram now than I have in previous couple of years because of other things that have happened on other social media platforms, as well as trying to find something and go into it. But he's got a lot of good stuff in here, and I really do highly recommend if you want to get this book, especially if you're looking at inspirational stories for young children. Keep on going, because there's supposed to be more of these books coming out with little Mickey. So I highly recommend getting it because it's perfect. It's really, really good. This is not forced on anything. It doesn't have a thing. The theme is just to keep on trying to get good at something that someday you're going to thank yourself for being good at. And the story with Mickey about his saxophone, which he's very well known for, is really, really good. And it's definitely along the lines of other books like I Want to Be a Lot, and of course Tara Martin's Cannonball In. So these are definitely books that are great for both younger and older students. It's also fantastic if you're a librarian, a music teacher, a business teacher, because he even talks about business in it a couple times too. It's very well done. So these are really, really good books that I actually really enjoyed, and I am glad that I picked them up. So good job both to Mickey and Elijah on that one here. I'd hit my soundboard, but I think people are tired of my air horn at this point in time. So if you haven't gotten them, go ahead and check out. If you're on the audio version, I will have of course, the show notes on for this too. So you, of course, can go ahead and do that. And I'll have the rest of the description right here in this book review, because it's, short here as my timer is coming up to the 8-minute mark. So a really good job there. So thank you everybody for joining me today on the Pixel Classroom podcast for this book review for episode 152 in the audio style. And I'll talk to everybody later. Have a great, great day.